Taste Texas, it's time for lamb chops. Out a muffin pan, we're going to use it to make sweet potato and golden apple stack.
Don't you worry about me, I got it.
Chef Garth adds some Texas smoke and heat to a brunch casserole.
Sweet, salty, spicy.
Have a chair and join us at the table.
Welcome to Taste Texas. I'm Amy Kushner.
I'm Garth Blackman.
And we're going to be making something really cool today. I bet you have a lengthy title for it. Could you please tell us what that would be?
It's a sizzled lamb with a Texas pecan crust going on the Henrietta Creek Orchard apple and sweet potato stack with some roasted broccolini and a sweet and sour apple pan sauce.
See there? He has long titles, but what I'd like to call it is just lamb sweet taters.
My title, you get
lamb and sweet potatoes.
You know what you're going to get when you listen to my title, right?
You get every ingredient in that title, which I appreciate very much. But let's get cooking and find out how we're going to put all this together.
So we're going to start with some Texas lamb.
And those are really pretty little lambs.
I've cut this into chops. It came from the rack. You can have your butcher cut it for you.
Right.
Otherwise, you need to work your way in between each of the bones. So it's going to be a lot easier to have the butcher take care of it. I'm putting salt and pepper on.
Both sides?
I am, exactly.
Okay.
I'm going to flatten it out a little bit because when it touches the pan, I want to make sure that that it gets as much surface area. I want it to sear really well. I want a lot of sizzle on it.
Right.
And this is the reason that I'm not crusting it yet. So if you put a pecan crust on right now, what you're going to be cooking will be the pecans and not the lamb.
Right.
But what's so delicious about steaks and lamb is that sizzled outside to it. So we're going to sear it first and crust it.
A little crunchy on the outside and then really tender on the inside.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
That's going to be awesome.
Should drizzle a little oil in our pan here.
Grapeseed?
It is.
Okay. Everybody knows by now, right? That's Garth's favorite. Grapeseed oil.
Okay, I want to make sure it gets nice and hot. I'm going to swirl the lamb a little bit. That way the oil stays between the lamb and the pan.
Oh my gosh.
And these are pretty thin lamb chops.
Yeah, they are.
So I want it on a really high heat so I can get a quick sear and pull it off so we can finish it in the oven. That way it's not going to get overcooked on the outside before the center gets to a nice, in my mind, perfect medium rare.
Okay.
So we can talk about that later. What we're going to do now is we're going to get ready for those stacks. And these are the potato and sweet potato. So we're going to use your favorite finger slicer.
Yes, we have to be very careful with the mandolin. But this is a great tool to have in the kitchen.
It is. So especially if you don't want to deal with the knife side.
So you already have the blade set at a real fine level, right?
I do. Okay, now start picking.
Whoa.
For getting your hand further away from the blade.
Don't you worry about me, I got it.
I would rather spend an extra couple of bucks and throw away 2 inches of sweet potato.
My grandmother would hate to hear that.
For Amy's medical bills. Okay, that's enough.
Okay.
You're good. Okay. Well, right to the edge. Okay, now this.
Was there a problem there?
No, that was good.
Okay, good. Want to make sure I'm doing it right.
If you're not peeling it, I just slice these all the way through. You'll see there aren't a whole lot of seeds. So start on the bottom and just start slicing. And I'm going to flip the lamb over right now.
Oh, those are getting nice and brown.
Crust.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Now, are you going to brown it the same on the other side?
This one I'm going to brown fairly well. The bone's going to slow down.
Am I making you nervous with this?
You're making me. Why don't you watch what you're doing? Okay, stop.
Hold it, I don't want to ruin my manicure.
You care less about her fingertip, but the manicure is a different story.
Listen, we pay good money for this manicure. Okay.
So,
all safe.
Look at that, there aren't a bunch of seeds in there.
I know, that's so cool.
So now you're gonna start alternating between sweet potato and apple.
All right.
And you'll put a little bit of butter every other layer. So put,
and now the butter. Oh, good. So are we gonna go through this whole thing? I would love to go through this whole stack of butter here. How many layers total do you want in a little muffin?
No fine science to that.
Just till it's full?
Fairly full, and you can press it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And as you're going, I'm going to add some fresh herbs as well. I'm going to put that In the middle section, I'm also going to put it on the top.
What herbs are those, by
That's
the
a
way?
mixture of fresh thyme, some chives, some parsley, and a little bit of rosemary.
Okay, wow, that's amazing.
So the lamb has been seared.
I'm just gonna keep stacking here, is that okay?
That's perfect. This is some Fredericksburg Farms mustard, a German-style mustard. Just gonna lay that on for each of these, and that's gonna provide the stickiness for my sugarland pecans to kind of adhere.
Oh, I see. So you need a little glue on those little lamb
glue.
chops. All
I'll
right.
just press that in.
It's going to take me a while here to fill all this up, by the way.
Well, we can do that during the commercial break.
Okay, good, good. All right, well, so speaking of commercial break, we're going to take one of those right now, and then we come back. There's going to be more good cooking going on. So we were talking about those apples, and we recently took a trip out to Henrietta Farms out in Roanoke, Texas, actually, and met a wonderful lady named Sue. Y'all take a look.
Hey there.
I'm Sue.
Hi, Sue. Amy.
Nice to have you visiting the orchard.
Thank you.
Hi, Sue. I'm
See how
Garth.
we grow these apples out here in Texas.
Yes, we are very
Pretty unusual.
It
Yeah, we're
definitely
excited.
is.
Let's go check it out.
Okay, let's do it.
Tell us how you got started into this business.
Well, to tell you the truth, we wanted to save on taxes, and so we got to be agriculture. But we just started out with about 500 trees to begin with. We really didn't know much about apples ourselves. So what we did is we got some magazine. One day my husband looked at one of them, and it was talking about an orchard, or orchards down in Hill Country, where that's apple capital of Texas. So we went down. They were growing dwarf apple trees, and we thought, wow, you know, these little bitty trees with big apples. In 3 years you got apples. So we decided that we would try that. But anyway, we put them in, and then we thought, well, we'll do a pick your own, and lots of people were interested in that.
Now, you were doing the whole seed to plate and all the fresh local stuff that people are talking about now, way before it was popular, because you're cooking with these apples, right?
Oh,
These
yeah,
aren't
for sure.
these aren't just the red apples that are really
No,
not
no.
good for cooking. These are really made for the kitchen, right?
How many different kinds do you have here?
Well, right now we have Blushing Golden, Fuji's, Granny Smith, Pink Lady. We have several different varieties that we tried, and in Texas you can't just grow everything. We have 2 beekeepers who keep their bees out here. We quickly discovered after putting apple trees in that we had to have honeybees.
Why do you need the bees for the trees?
We need the pollination. There's a lot of pollinators, but the honeybee is probably one of your very best pollinators.
Can't wait to cook with those delicious apples.
Well, I'd like that recipe.
You'll get it. You'll get it.
Okay, so, I mean, amazing apples. Of course, we ate plenty while we were
Got
there.
our fill for sure.
So good. And you brought a few home that we're putting into this recipe today.
I did. So we're gonna dice these up. We sliced the last ones. Those are in the stack that's gone in the oven for about 45 minutes.
Yes.
And the lamb we're gonna put in for the last 15 minutes. So now we're gonna do a sauce, and we're gonna go ahead and fire up some broccolini. So I told you, if you'll toss the broccolini into that boiling pot of water right there,
Stems and all?
stems and all.
All right. I can handle that, Garth.
Perfect. So that's gonna boil for about 3 to 5 minutes. I'll make sure it's all the way under the water. There we go.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna dice up this apple. The skin is really thin, so I don't mind having the skin on there.
Right.
And these were so good. I almost had a difficult time cooking with them because we ate so many just fresh right off
They
the
were
trees.
right up. They were literally falling off the vine, which is amazing.
Okay, and so then we're gonna dice an onion,
Uh-huh.
and that's gonna go in for our pan sauce as well.
Speaking of dicing an onion, I actually have something I want to show you that I think you might really like, and it should come in handy. I use this all the time at home when I'm cutting onions.
God.
And I think you ought to try it. It's the best tool ever. I'm not kidding. This thing works. Here, Garth, it's your favorite color. Try it on.
My eyes are not watering.
They will after you get done with it, before you get done with that. Yeah, I love it. pink and all.
My eyes aren't watering, but I'm going to start crying that I actually put those on television.
I swear, every time I cut an onion, I pull these out. My kids
cut
just
my
laugh and
finger
laugh
off
and laugh.
just
They look
putting
up and
those
like,
on.
oh my gosh, Mom's cutting an onion. But it works. I love them. My
I
onion
should wear
goggles.
those the rest of the show.
Brought those just for you. Okay.
Onion goggles.
Onion goggles.
Just like a woman, fully accessorized. All right, if you put some butter down in the pan.
Of course.
Of course.
How much?
That's
that
good
much?
right there. And we're gonna let these start to saute, caramelize the onions, caramelize the apple. Then we're going to finish that sauce off, thicken it with a little bit of that Texas mustard, and it's gonna all come together to be delicious, going with that lamb and that stack of sweet potato.
Sounds amazing, and I'm ready for that lamb. They're calling my name. I feel it. All right, we'll be right back. Y'all stay tuned.
We're back with some more of those apples that are getting all caramelized in our pan sauce, those sweet onions that we made with your pink goggles. We're gonna
Nicely
cook those
chopped.
down. They're nicely chopped. Add a little bit of white wine to that pan if you would.
Okay. We might want to mention where this wine's from.
Right, so RK, we got to go visit yesterday actually. Beautiful winery, incredible place outside of St. Joe.
Yep.
Really fun, good people. We really had a great time. A lot of information about this Roussanne, which is what we poured. Now, how many of y'all have heard that whatever you have left, like you open up a bottle and you don't finish it, that you can use that maybe the next day for a sauce? Maybe that's kind of a common cooking thing,
I
right?
just drink it the next day.
You do drink it the next day?
We don't let any wine go to waste.
I never have any wine left over at the end of the day.
Oh,
so for me,
that
that's
explains
a
that.
good excuse to open up a new bottle of wine that we can work on later.
Yes.
Okay, we just cooked the alcohol out of that. I'm gonna let you put some of the hot sauce in. I know you like it spicy,
Yeah.
so that's a crystal hot sauce.
Is that enough?
Yep, that's enough. Okay, this is tamari. It's like soy sauce, but it's gluten-free.
Right.
So you'll notice about this sauce, I'm not using flour, I'm not making a roux, I'm not using soy sauce.
But that'll
I'm using,
thicken up.
What's gonna thicken up is gonna be the mustard, actually.
Okay.
So a
Oh,
little
that's
bit
your
of
trick. Mustard
is.
always works.
A little bit of what's this here sauce,
What is that again?
a Worcestershire. Nobody really knows what's in it, right? So I just call it what's this here sauce because there's so many ingredients.
That's a good way to say it.
So work that in. Okay, see how it got all, well, all over the counter, but also nice and thick.
Yes.
Now I'm going to turn down the heat.
So crazy that mustard makes that big of a difference.
Add a little pat
You
of butter.
are really doing well today with the butter. It's awesome.
Okay, our broccolini.
Yes.
Okay, now I can turn the heat down all the way.
You
See how
want-
it got nice and thick? I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper.
Okay.
I don't need to add much salt because that tamari has quite a bit in it. And now I'm going to cut off the heat. The butter's going to finish melting out. And at this point, we don't want to have it on high because the butter will separate. So you'll end up with the fat floating up to the top. But here's a little trick to fix a sauce that's separated.
Okay.
Put it into a container, use my favorite tool, the stick blender, and puree it, and that'll blend it right back. You won't have the chunks of apple, but you're
Right.
also not going to have grease all over your plate. So
It's
that'll
still
help out at home.
the same taste.
It'll still have the exact same taste,
Okay.
just a little bit different texture. Okay, this is our broccolini. And to me, broccolini tastes a lot like a mixture of kind of like artichoke and broccoli. And I'm gonna have you zest some lemon on top of that. Okay, we've got some Turkish red pepper flake, which is available at most high-end grocery stores, as well as Pinzi spices. Okay, that's good. Okay, now this is gonna be a new test.
What's that?
You're gonna drizzle a little bit of that Texas extra virgin olive oil.
All right, I know how to do it this time. Watch. So I'm going to put my thumb over it,
Awesome.
and maybe something will come out.
That's impressive.
How's that?
That's great.
Better. Last time I doused that kale pretty hard. All right.
All right, so let's talk about our timing right now. So the sauce is done. We've already turned off the heat. I could do this up to an hour beforehand.
Really?
We've got the broccolini that I kind of like to get a little bit of caramelization. So I'm going to put it into the oven
Okay.
for about 10 minutes to let it roast, which is about how long it's going to take for that lamb to get to a perfect medium rare. So let's toss these two in the oven.
Perfect. All right.
And that'll put us about spot on for our little potato stacks as well.
How are those potato stacks anyway?
They are cranking it up. They should be ready in the next couple of minutes.
Nice. This is beautiful. I can't wait to put all this together and get the final combination of everything.
The sweet, the sour, the spicy, the savory, it all comes in for one delicious matchup. And lamb is great for that. If you don't like lamb at home, I encourage you to try this recipe because it might change your mind. The sweetness goes great with it. But if you're not doing lamb, then also with the sweet, see a few faces cringing out there. Any wild game will go great with sweet.
Yeah.
Pork will as well. So if you like pork loin or pork tenderloin, all of those will do well with all this apple and the sweetness and the spice.
How many lamb chops would you say per person?
So for a medium-sized person, 3 lamb chops. If you're really, especially the thinness that we had there, if they're a petite cut, probably 5. And as you know, I do everything in odd numbers just because it has that visual appeal.
I love it. I love it. Can't wait to put it all together. So we're going to do that when we come right back. Stay tuned.
All right, I'm back in the Sub-Zero and Wolf prep kitchen where all the action happens, and got an exciting, easy to do meal today, and that's gonna be a strata, which is my favorite way to eat eggs. I'm starting off with some challah bread. Next up, we've got some purple kale, a little bit more color, really delicious and also very good for you. My favorite cheese, this is gonna be Mill King's white cheddar, which is so delicious. We got to do the field shoot and visit with the folks there at Mill King a few weeks ago, and just an incredible place. Next, we've got some home smokehouse pecan smoked sausage, which is a Texas sausage as well. Adds a lot more smoky richness than any other sausage that I use. Last but not least, what we're gonna mix in with the custard is gonna be the Henrietta Creek apples. Okay, let's get started with making the strata. The start for any strata is gonna be a custard. And a custard is really, it's used for bread pudding, it's used for French toast, but we're gonna go the savory route today, a little bit of salt, a little bit of spice. And if you can remember the ratio for custard, you'll be able to use it when you're on vacation and you don't have a recipe with you. It's something that will always apply. And that's gonna be 3 eggs. These are some Texas farmhouse eggs with 1 pint of some sort of dairy. So today I'm gonna be using milk, but you could use cream or half and half. So we'll put in our 3 eggs. We'll put in our 1 pint of Mill King milk. Gonna add a healthy pinch of kosher salt, some freshly ground black pepper. All right, this is the base for our custard. I like to add a little mustard for some additional flavor. This is from Fredericksburg Farms, so Texas mustard. And we'll just puree it. As you all know, stick blenders are one of my favorite toys for the kitchen because it just makes things so easy. You don't have to break out the whisk. They're easy to clean, easy to work with. And I'm gonna mix that in with all of our ingredients for the strata now that I have our custard. So I've got that challah bread. We're gonna start pouring our custard over that. Once it starts to float, that means we have enough custard. I'm gonna put in my purple kale. This is gonna cook down a little bit and soften up. This is that Mill King white cheddar cheese that we freshly grated. So delicious, got a little bit of tang, a good amount of salt. It goes great with eggs. For the smokiness, this is that home smokehouse pecan smoked sausage, using a whole lot of smoke in there. That will really blend in well. We're not gonna have any super powerful flavor. We've got a mix of a little bit of each. And then these are those Henrietta Creek apples. Okay, so we're just gonna toss this. I think a lot of times when people are working with custard or bread pudding or French toast that they worry too much about having to let it soak or drying the bread. The reality is as long as you have enough custard in there and you press on it, that is gonna make sure the custard gets all the way to the center of the bread. Okay, so now I've got that pressed in, wipe off my hands, and now we're gonna put this into individual muffin tins. This guarantees I'll get a lot of caramelization around each piece that we're serving. So at this point, my muffin tin's loaded. I'm gonna toss these into a 325-degree oven on convection for 25 minutes. They're gonna turn out all golden on the outside and really delicious in the center. Okay, 25 minutes later, we've got some delicious looking little stratas with that smoky sausage and that Mill King cheese. So we're gonna plate it up, but first I wanna add a little bit of acidity to it. That'll balance it out. Here's how we'll do it. Take some plain Greek yogurt. Make sure it's plain, not sweetened or vanilla. I've made that mistake before. Just put a little bit of that down. Some wing sauce, vinegar, a bit of lemon juice, pinch of salt. All right. So now it's time to plate it up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I've got the finished product, ready in a few minutes. Easy, sweet, salty, spicy, great combination. I think you'll love it.
So if you like lamb chops and sweet taters, we are going to show you how to plate this final recipe that we've been working on for just a little while here. What's it going to look like?
And even if you don't like lamb, this is the place to branch out and try it. So
absolutely.
What classically goes with lamb? And what do you always hear about?
Mint.
Mint.
That's
mint
right.
jelly. So
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the mint jelly, but I want to get a little bit of flavor infused into that sauce. So why don't you use this like a whisk, work it into that
Seriously?
sauce.
This doesn't even seem right.
Smell it though. Do you smell it?
Yeah, I smell that.
So
Gosh.
really the aroma is starting to come out. Some of the essential oils from the mint are going to start to infuse that flavor into it.
This is interesting, Garth. Never done this. You're kind of getting me out of the box a little bit here.
You're probably good with that before you lose too many more leaves.
Are we done? Now what do I do with this?
You can eat that.
No, it's okay.
No, just drop that down right here.
Okay.
All right.
That's really interesting. Would have never thought of that.
Okay, so let's take a look at our plate up. So we've got our roasted broccolini. We've got the pan sauce.
I gotta wipe my hand. There you go.
Not using your apron like normal, so you don't have it. Do
Right.
you want to grab that spoon?
Yes.
And
You're
these are those potato,
Oh, man.
sweet potato stacks.
With the apples.
The apples and the herbs and the butter.
I love the way you put, because there's like a design going on here.
So 5, always go with the odd number.
Odd numbers on a plate.
Odd numbers on a plate.
Got the broccolini. Oops, you lost that guy.
One. Oh, found him
Get it
again.
back in there. Oh, wow.
All right. And then
Gorgeous.
We'll just grab
And the
5
little
of
lamb
these.
chops, oh my, pecan crusted look amazing. That's gorgeous. I mean, who does not want to try that? I do. Okay, and then what about the sauce?
So go ahead and drop that down.
Where do you want it?
Right
On this
around there.
side?
That'll be great.
Yeah. And we'll leave the mint leaves out. Actually, we're gonna leave them in because that was my special touch. How's that?
Refreshing at the same time.
That's right. Okay. Perfect. Wow. Is that not gorgeous?
Pretty easy stuff too.
Gorgeous and really easy.
It was.
And I didn't lose a finger.
You didn't lose a finger.
And you got to borrow my goggles. It was a good day in the kitchen.
Embarrassing.
Okay, y'all can get this recipe on our website, and that's tastetexastv.com.
Or social media.
Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Taste Texas TV as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank y'all.
Y'all come back next time. Bye-bye.